What is the housing market situation in Canada like today? Well, it's a tale of two sides. Housing prices continue to drop across all major cities, except for two, which recently set new all-time highs. Lenders are writing off loans like never before, and rental prices, they continue to skyrocket, running hot, running twice that of inflation. You might actually pay less in rent in Los Angeles than compared to the GTA and GVA. Remember a stress test that was implemented a while back that was supposedly going to tame our Canadian housing market? Well, Canadian real estate is starting to see the first signs of that stress due to higher interest rates and normalizing demand. Canadian mortgage lenders are starting to write off larger mortgages in Q3 2022 than they have in the last decade. Now, does this mean that Canadians have stopped paying their mortgages? Well, not necessarily. Mortgage loan losses are about liquidity and not the financial health of the borrower. There's a major misconception around how mortgage losses and default rates actually work. Loan losses that lenders are experiencing right now indicate that there is a lack of liquidity. Now, when you have a booming housing market and housing is just flying off the shelves that we saw in the last few years, up until February of 2022, anyone was willing to buy anything at any price. Now, when you have a borrower that's facing financial difficulties, they can simply sell their home in a booming housing market at any given point, at any given time, at any price they want in a matter of days before they default. Now, that story changes when you have a seller who is forced to sell and they can't find a buyer at the price they need. This is what increases loan losses. Low default rates, well, they typically indicate that a bubble is forming more than anything else. Now, today, Canadian mortgage losses are climbing massively higher every single quarter. For example, in just Q3 of 2022, the average loss reached $96,000. That's up 17% or up $14,000 from the last quarter. Now, for clarification, the losses that I'm talking about are now reflecting the lower value of homes in the market today. This is an important measure to pay attention to. And what I find really interesting is that the data is reflecting this mixed messaging from the market. On one hand, you have losses that are getting larger because buyers are no longer willing to accept the asking price of a home as is. Instead of seeing people overbid on homes that was pretty much the new normal in the last few years, people are now undercutting because people are now more aware of the higher interest rates and their ability to float a mortgage, especially when you're going into a recession. As more sellers can't find willing buyers who will pay the highest listed price for their home, and the value of their home is now dropping against the mortgage they're carrying, if this trend continues, that means in theory, the rate of defaults should increase. Plain and simple, buyers are no longer making offers on the first home they see because they don't have that same pressure that we saw in the last few years. They're now shopping the inventory of homes available, especially as more and more homes come into the market. The numbers coming out of our housing market, well, they are really telling. Prices have dramatically fallen in 9 out of 11 major Canadian cities. There are two cities that are actually seeing growth. Wondering who they are? Well, they are the oil towns of Edmonton and Calgary, and their housing market, well, it was pretty much asleep in the last 15 years, and it just decided to wake up, as the rest of the country is falling. Hamilton by the numbers. It's down 2.9% in October, month over month. It's down 16% from its peak, which in this city was February. And year over year, Hamilton's housing market is pretty much as flat as the prairies. Take a second, hit the like, subscribe, and thanks button on the bottom of this video. No matter where the housing market goes from here, I want you to be the first one to know. Just stay subscribed and I'll provide you with updates. And our Canadian housing tour continues with the cities experiencing the biggest housing declines. And our next stop on this list is Halifax. Halifax is currently down 5.7% in October, month over month. It's down 15% from the peak, which in this city was set back in the summer around June. And year over year, it's still up 6.7%. Now, keep in mind, the 6.7% is relative to the 35% year over year gains it saw back in early 2022. What this means is that it's only experienced 6 months of decline. That's why it's still up on a year over year basis, but that number is going down fast. All right, next up is the GTA. It's down 0.9% month over month in October. And from the peak, it's down 11.9%, which was set back in February of 2022. That means on a year over year basis, that gain, that massive gain that we would have seen in the last few years, down to now 3.6%. Victoria, BC, month over month, it's down 1.2% as of October, down 10.4% from its peak, which was set back in May of 2022. Year over year, prices are now cheaper in Victoria than they were a year ago by 2.2%. Next up is Ottawa, Ontario. Month over month is down 1.8% for the month of October. From the peak that was set back in February 2022, it's down 9.6%. That means on a year over year basis, it's only up 2.8%. And this number, it's going down fast, just like we're seeing across the other parts of the country. Next up is the Greater Vancouver Area, or the GVA. Month over month is pretty much flat, down only 0.1% for the month of October. But from the peak, it's down 7.9%, which was set back in February 2022. That means our year-over-year gain now is down to 3.7%. Vancouver continues, even with this decline that we're seeing, it still continues to be the most unaffordable city in all of Canada. Winnipeg, or also known as Winterpeg, month over month is down 3.7% for the month of October. That means from its peak, it's down 7.5%. And year over year, now it's only up 3.9%. Montreal, Quebec, month over month, it's down 1.5% in the month of October. From its peak, that was set back in the summer, it's down 6.4%. Year over year, it's still up 8.4%. That means there's still a lot of room before that year over year gain disappears. Quebec City, 1.2% down in the month of October, month over month. From its peak, it's down 3.6%. And just like Montreal, it's still up pretty much close to 10%, or coming in at 8.6% on a year over year basis. Now let's check out the oil towns. First up is Calgary. Month over month, it's up 2% for the month of October. While from its peak, it just set a new peak, meaning it's now sitting at an all-time high. If you take a look at the year-over-year gain, it is sitting at a 16.2% gain year-over-year. And when I say the housing market was pretty much flat, if you take a look at these numbers, you'll notice that from 2013 all the way to like end of 2021, there wasn't that much movement. Prices were roughly in the $180,000 to $200,000 range. Now in recent months, this is when it's starting to skyrocket because Ontario's become unaffordable. BC's become unaffordable. So people who have been priced out of these provinces are now moving to an affordable area, and that's Calgary, and we'll see Edmonton next. Edmonton, it's up 2.1% for the month of October. From the peak, well, it just set a new peak. It's at an all-time high right now. It's up 7.5% year over year. And pretty much same as Calgary, the housing market was pretty much flat from 2013 to the tail end of 2021. And it's not up until recent times the buyers are moving out of Ontario. Buyers are moving out of BC. They're looking for affordability, and one of the major stops is Calgary, and in this case, Edmonton. That's the update on the Canadian housing market, more specifically, the ownership market. Let's talk about the other side of the equation, and that's the rental market. In the month of October, the average rent for the month of October across Canada rose to $1,976. That means people are paying close to $2,000 in average monthly rent. Everyone seems to be talking about the housing market when it comes to falling housing prices and the impact of higher interest rates. But when it comes to the rental market, there's not much attention that's going into this space. And that's why I want to dedicate this portion of the video to talk about specifically the issue with our rental market. Any of you watching this video right now who have recently signed a lease, or at least are trying to sign one, I'm sure you can attest to the fact of what's happening in our rental housing market. In fact, I want to hear from you. Tell me your story. Leave a comment down below telling me how you've been experiencing the housing market when it comes to rentals. Rent today is rising almost twice as fast as the rate of inflation. If you take a look at the average rent price of $2,000 a month, that's up 12%. Compare that to the rate of inflation at 6.9%. And when we break that down by the country's regions, there's even a bigger disparity. Here's what I mean. Atlantic Canada's rental rates are up 32% year over year. Ontario, it's up 18%. BC, up 15%. And Calgary, up 13% year over year. Let's put this even into more perspective on how bad the rental market really is. The average 2-bedroom rent in Vancouver is over $3,500 a month. The average 2-bedroom rent in Toronto is over $3,300 a month. Compare that to the average 2-bedroom rent in Los Angeles. That's at $3,295. Compare that to the average 2-bedroom rent in Dallas, Texas. That's just above $2,000 at $2,080 a month. The federal government recently announced a new aggressive immigration target that could soon see 500,000 immigrants come into the country each and every year. And this is supposed to amp up the country's economy. But those that are coming in, can they actually afford to live here? Canada has one of the highest cost of living standards in the world. And our healthcare system, well, that has consistently deteriorated over time. Let me ask you this. Where are we actually headed? As a thanks for watching and making it to the tail end of this video, I have exclusive offers for you in the description of this video. There are amazing discounts and sign-up bonuses to be had for trying out products and services that I use on a daily basis. I really want you to just, at least try them out. You have nothing to lose. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and thanks button. That's it for now. I'll talk to you in the comment section.